I literally didn't breathe.
I was trying,
but every time I was like, okay, take a breath, something new would happen.
Evil is coming, but nobody else feels that. So she's kind of in her own horror film to a degree. She's like, believe me.
I think that it has to start in the screenplay, and as they say, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage, and I think...
So Jennifer Salke, the studio head, was quoted as saying, it required a lot of setting up. And then there was something to the effect in another quote from her that basically the number 37%, that the idea that it was anything but a success is not what they were talking about internally. So I understand that basically Amazon and specifically Bezos wanted his own Game of Thrones, but what they've created up until now is not going to beat Game of Thrones. So the numbers are in from Amazon, and only 37% of the viewers for The Rings of Power finished the series, which, according to the article by Tassi from Forbes, is really, really bad. And if you compare it to a lot of other TV, for example, Netflix, when they have a show that's under 50% gets canceled. When you compare it to House of Dragon, it really was knocked out of the water by House of Dragon. So it's not looking good. So I'd like to just briefly revisit some of the stuff that I said in the open letter from some months back, that really essentially the core thing to work on really is the writing. And really, you have enough rights to make really a good second season and third season. So the money just in of itself being spent on CGI, I don't really know that that's going to do it.
So just quickly to recap, why did you guys get these numbers? You got these numbers because of the writing. You got these numbers because the main character you had, Galadriel, really did not match up with Tolkien. I know people say that she was sort of like an Amazon in the Tolkien writing, but an overpowered, basically Wonder Woman character is not what Tolkien created.
Galadriel that we know from the movie trilogy is magical and ethereal, but in the trailer, you're like a warrior. We see you in the middle of everything.
If you had wanted to really, for example, have Galadriel use her magic, that would have been awesome. But using your magic doesn't turn you into She-Hulk / the Wonder Woman. Of course, like, what were some of the pluses? I think some of the pluses were really the fact that they really shot in New Zealand. So that really, really worked. That was like a plus. So once again, some of the core reasons that the views were what they got were rather that only 37% of the people who started this series finished. The timeline was way too condensed, and I reminded myself with an article from CBR. So the timeline was way too condensed. There was way too many liberties with Tolkien's lore. So even though I personally enjoyed the Harfoots, if I'm really, really honest, the Harfoots their whole lore was really hardcore stereotypes about the Irish, really, if we really want to get honest. And it was just really a lot of not high level morality on the part of the Harfoots, who are supposed to be the ancestors of the Hobbits.
It's responsible, isn't he? The big fella.
What precisely do you expect me to do about it?
What you ought to have done at the camp. Take their wheels and leave them.
And the Hobbits are not like the Harfoots that we see in the Rings of Power. So I personally enjoyed the Harfoots, but if we get really honest, their morality was very, very low. Like, people getting hurt, nobody cares, that kind of idea.
What's it gonna take? Make a widow of somebody? Or an orphan?
That really sort of like came up. Some of the best acting that we had was really from the bad guys, like the Uruk-hai, the orcs, and Adar. Those were the best actors. And they kind of were much, much better than the people that we were supposed to enjoy.
My children, cast off your sun cloaks and your helms.
You are no longer to be burdened by the day. This is our land now.
Then the whole idea about really like Sauron, who Sauron wasn't, that to me was not a real secret.
You needn't keep your distance.
I'm simply wondering what manner of man would so readily abandon his companions to death.
I was never really deluded about that.
And write really good scripts for the second and third and fourth and fifth season.
So it doesn't really matter what Miss Salke says. It doesn't matter what Mr. Vernon says. These are not really good numbers.
Movies, not a lot of customer focus, which is what really the company's North Star is really all about, Prime subscribers.
So if you made it this far, give me a like, leave a comment. You want, check out my t-shirts at www.sabkhaz.com. If you want, also there are other ways to support the channel, Cash App. It's the links in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you.